I'm recording this on my phone in the break room because I don't know if I'm getting out of here tonight. The store closes at 9 p.m. It's 11:30 now. I'm supposed to be doing inventory. I've been doing inventory for 2 hours, but I haven't gotten anything done because something else is in the store with me. Something that's been here longer than I have. Something that knows the layout better than I do. Something that's been waiting for me to be alone. The front entrance locked at 9 p.m. I locked it myself. I tested it twice. Deadbolt engaged. Alarm armed. No one gets in. No one gets out. But at 10:15, I heard the front entrance close. Not open. Close. From inside the store, like someone had walked in and then closed the door behind them. I checked the security app. The door was locked. The alarm was still armed. No breach. No entry. But the sound was real. I know that sound. I've closed that door 1,000 times. The way the hydraulic arm pulls it shut. The way the latch clicks. The way the echo carries through the empty store. Someone closed the front entrance from the inside, while I was in the back office, while the door was already locked. I told myself it was the HVAC. The system makes weird noises at night, or the building settling, or my imagination. Closing shifts do this to you. You get tired, you get jumpy. Small things feel enormous. I went back to inventory. The back office drawer was open. The one I keep supplies in. Tape guns, price stickers, extra register tape. I closed it before I started inventory. I remember closing it. I remember the click. It was open 3 centimeters. Nothing inside had been taken, but the tape gun was facing a different direction. The price stickers had been moved to the left side of the drawer. Organized. Neat. Someone had been in the back office. Someone had organized my supplies. Someone had left everything exactly where they wanted it. I locked the back office. The key is on my belt. No one else has a key. I went to the break room to get my phone. The chair at the table was pulled out. Not pushed in, pulled out. Like someone had been sitting there recently. Like someone had stood up and walked away when they heard me coming. I locked the break room before I started inventory. The key is on my belt. No one else has a key. But the chair was warm. I told myself I was exhausted. I've been working 6 days a week. Holiday season is coming. The store is understaffed. The manager is breathing down my neck about inventory. I'm not sleeping well. I'm not eating well. I'm not thinking well. I told myself all of this while I walked to the electronics section. The inventory sheet said I needed to count the headphones. I stood in front of the display case. Counted. 23 units. Wrote it down. I walked to the next section. Kitchen appliances. Counted. 15 blenders. Wrote it down. I walked back to electronics to double-check the headphones. 23 units. Same as before. But the display case was organized differently. The noise-canceling ones were on the left. They had been on the right. Someone had rearranged them while I was gone. I was gone for 4 minutes. I checked the security cameras. The electronics section camera is motion-activated. It should have recorded anyone who entered that aisle. The footage showed me. Counting, writing, leaving. Then nothing. For 4 minutes. Then me. Coming back. Counting again. Pausing. Looking at the display case. The footage did not show the display case being rearranged. But the display case was rearranged. Someone had done it in the gap between frames. Someone knew exactly when the camera was watching and when it wasn't. Someone had mapped the blind spots. I started paying attention to the inventory counts. Not the numbers, the process. The way I moved through the store, the way I counted, the way I wrote things down. The rhythm of my work. Count, pause, write, walk, count, pause, write, walk. The silence between the counts. That's when it moved. I realized it slowly. The silence rule. It only moves when I'm not making noise. When I'm counting, I'm quiet. When I'm writing, I'm quiet. When I'm walking between sections, I'm quiet. I've been giving it time to move. Every night. For 2 years. I stopped counting. I stood still. The store was silent. The HVAC had stopped. The refrigerators had stopped. The lights were on motion sensors. They flickered, waiting for me to move. Something else was moving. In the dark section. The section where the lights hadn't triggered because no one had walked through it in hours. I heard it. Not footsteps. Something else. A whisper. Not words. A rhythm. The same rhythm as my counting. The same pace. The same pauses. It was counting along with me. It had been counting along with me the whole time. I walked to the dark section. The lights flickered on as I entered. Empty. Just shelves. Just products. Just the same merchandise that's been here for weeks. But one item was different. A display item. A blender. The same blender I had counted 15 minutes ago. It was in a different position, on a different shelf, facing a different direction. I had not moved it. No one else was here, but it had been moved. And it had been placed precisely where I would see it first when I entered the section. Like someone wanted me to know they had been here. Like someone wanted me to know they could touch things. They could move things. They could rearrange my store however they wanted. And I couldn't stop them. I tried to set the alarm. The security app crashed. Every time I tried to arm the system, the app froze. I restarted my phone. I reinstalled the app. I called the manager. No answer. I called the security company. Voicemail. I was alone, in a locked store, with something that knew the blind spots, something that knew my counting rhythm, something that had been watching me for 2 years. I went back to the break room, locked the door. The key is on my belt. No one else has a key. But the chair was pulled out again. The same chair. The same angle. And on the table, a piece of paper. Store receipt paper, the kind we use for price tags. Written on it, in handwriting that was almost mine, but not quite. You missed 3 units in housewares. I checked the inventory sheet. I had missed 3 units in housewares. I went back, counted again. 3 units. Exactly where the note said they would be. It had been counting with me. It had been keeping track. It knew the inventory better than I did. It had been running this store longer than I had. I finished inventory at 11:50, 10 minutes before the manager checks the system. I wrote the numbers down, logged them into the app. The app worked this time. The alarm armed. The doors locked. I stood at the front entrance, my hand on the door, ready to leave. I heard something behind me. Not a footstep. A whisper. The same rhythm as my counting, but slower now. Like someone was finishing a task and didn't need to rush anymore. I didn't turn around. I opened the door. I walked out. I didn't look back. I'm in my car now. The store is behind me. The lights are off. The alarm is set. But the inventory sheet is in my hand. The one I wrote tonight. The numbers are right. The counts are accurate. The totals match. But the handwriting at the bottom, the note that says completed by, is not mine. It says my name. In my handwriting. But I didn't write it. Someone else signed for my shift. I'm never taking the closing shift again. I told the manager I have a scheduling conflict. I told her I can't work past 8 p.m. anymore. She said okay. She didn't ask why. But last week I saw the new hire. A girl. Young. 19 maybe. She was training on the register. She seemed nice. A little quiet. A little nervous. She's taking the closing shift now. I wanted to warn her. I wanted to tell her about the drawer that opens by itself. About the chair that's warm when no one has been there. About the display items that move when you're not looking. about the whisper that counts along with you when you're doing inventory. But what would I say? The store is haunted? Something has been living in the dark sections for years? It knows the blind spots better than the security cameras. She'd think I was crazy. She'd tell the manager. I'd lose my job. So I didn't say anything. But last night, I drove past this store after closing. The lights were off. The parking lot was empty. The alarm was set. But in the window, the front window, the one that faces the street, there was a display. A new display. Someone had rearranged the mannequins. They were all facing the same direction. Toward the register. Toward the spot where the new girl stands. And one of them, the one in the back, was wearing my old uniform shirt. The one I lost 6 months ago. The one I left in the break room by accident. The one that disappeared before I could find it. I don't work there anymore. I quit last week. I told the manager I found another job. That was a lie. I quit because I couldn't stop thinking about the note. The one that said, "You missed 3 units in housewares." The one that was signed with my name, in my handwriting. I didn't write that note. But someone did. Someone who knows my handwriting. Someone who has been watching me long enough to copy it. Someone who has been practicing. I don't know what it wants. I don't know why it's been in that store for years. I don't know why it chose me, but I know it's still there. I know it's still counting. I know it's still rearranging the displays. I know it's still learning. And I know that when the new girl does her first closing shift alone, when she locks the front door and starts her inventory and walks into the dark section where the lights haven't triggered in hours, it will be waiting for her, and it will know her name, and it will sign her name on the inventory sheet, in her handwriting, and she will never know that someone else has been doing her job for her, someone who has been waiting for her to leave so they could take her place. I have 4 years of data, 4 years of night shifts, 4 years of sitting with people in their final hours, 4 years of watching the same pattern repeat. The temperature drops 30 minutes before a patient dies. Not in the room, in the corridor, the thermostat outside their door. Every time. For 4 years. I've logged every instance. 217 patients. 217 temperature drops. 217 times I've walked into a room and known, before I checked their breathing, that they were gone. The other staff don't talk about it. They don't acknowledge it. They don't look at the thermostat. They don't look at the end of the corridor where the candles are. They don't look at the curtain that parts itself when no one is near it. They don't see the attendant. I do. I've been seeing it for 2 years now. I noticed it in my 3rd year here, a shape at the end of the corridor. Dark, tall, still. It doesn't move. It doesn't approach. It just stands there, watching, waiting. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light. The corridor lights flicker. The building is old. The floors settle. I told myself all the usual things. The floorboards expand and contract with the temperature. It's always louder at night. I'm not sleeping well. 4 years of night shifts does things to perception. But the temperature log doesn't lie. The temperature drops 30 minutes before a death, and the attendant is always there when it happens, standing at the end of the corridor, facing the room, waiting. I've never seen it move. I've never seen it approach. I've never seen it do anything except stand and wait. But last week, I saw it take a step, not toward a patient's room, toward mine. I don't have a room. I'm not a patient. I'm a volunteer. I sit in the corridor. I hold hands. I read aloud. I make sure no one dies alone. But last week, the attendant took a step toward me. I was sitting outside room 7. Mrs. Chen, pancreatic cancer. She had maybe 2 weeks left. The temperature log showed normal. No drop. No death imminent. The attendant was at the end of the corridor. Same as always. Dark, tall, still. Then it moved. One step. Toward me. I didn't run. I've been doing this for 4 years. I don't run from death. I sit with it. I hold its hand. I'm not afraid of it. But I was afraid of that step. Because the attendant has never moved toward a living person before. It only moves toward the dying. I checked the temperature log. Normal. No drop. No death imminent. I checked on Mrs. Chen. She was sleeping. Breathing steady. Pulse normal. No signs. I checked the other patients. Room 4, room 9, room 12. All stable, all sleeping, all alive. The attendant took another step. I called the night supervisor. No answer. Voicemail. I called the main desk. No answer. I called the nurses' station. The phone rang. Someone picked up. No voice, just breathing. The same rhythm as the attendant's stillness. I hung up. The attendant was closer now, halfway down the corridor. I could see it more clearly than I'd ever seen it before. It was tall, very tall. Its arms hung at its sides. Its head was tilted slightly, like it was listening. I could not see its face. There was no face, just darkness where a face should be. But I could feel it looking at me. I turned on all the corridor lights. The management has asked me not to do that. The patients find it harder to sleep. But I don't care. The attendant is visible only in total darkness. Light keeps it at a distance. Light delays it. The lights flickered, then went out. All of them. Not a power failure. The emergency lights stayed on. But the corridor lights, the ones I'd turned on, they went out at the same time, as if something had blown them, as if something didn't want me to see. The attendant was at room 7 now, standing outside Mrs. Chen's door, facing the room, not facing me. I walked to the door, looked through the window. Mrs. Chen was still sleeping, still breathing, still alive. But the temperature log on my phone showed a drop. Not outside her room, outside mine. I don't have a room. I checked my phone again. The temperature log was open. The data was there. Room 12. Not Mrs. Chen. Room 12. The room at the end of the corridor. The room I've never been in because it's always empty. Because no patient has been assigned to it in the 4 years I've worked here. The temperature was dropping outside room 12. I walked to the end of the corridor, past the attendant. It didn't move. It didn't look at me. It just stood there, facing Mrs. Chen's door. I reached room 12. The door was closed. The window was dark. I couldn't see inside. I put my hand on the door. The wood was warm. Warmer than the corridor. Warmer than my hand. I opened the door. The room was empty. No bed. No equipment. No patient. Just dust. Just silence. Just the smell of cold air from somewhere deep in the building. But there was a name on the door. On the inside. Written in marker. My name. I've never been in this room. I've never written my name on any door. But my name was there. In handwriting I didn't recognize. In ink that was still wet. I closed the door. Walked back down the corridor. The attendant was gone. The lights were back on. The temperature log showed normal readings. Mrs. Chen died the next morning. Peacefully. In her sleep. I was there. I held her hand. The attendant was at the end of the corridor, watching, waiting. But after she died, after I closed her eyes and walked out of the room, I looked at the temperature log. The drop had happened 30 minutes before. Outside her room, and outside room 12, at the same time. The attendant had been at both ends of the corridor at once, or there were 2 of them. Or the one at room 12 was not the attendant. It was something else. Something that had been waiting for me to open that door. Something that now knows my name. I should quit. I should stop volunteering. I should never come back to this building. But I can't. The patients need me, and I need to know what's in room 12. I went back last night. The corridor was empty. The lights were on. The attendant was not there. I walked to room 12. The door was closed. My name was still on the inside. The ink was dry now. But there was something new. A date. Written below my name. Today's date. I opened the door. The room was still empty. Still dusty. Still cold. But there was a bed. In the center of the room. Old metal. The kind we used before the hospice upgraded. And on the bed, a chart. My chart. My name. My date of birth. My medical history. Things I've never told anyone at work. Things I've never told anyone at all. I don't have a terminal illness. I'm not dying. I had a physical last month. The doctor said I was healthy. But the chart said otherwise. The chart said I had 6 months. The chart said I was admitted to the hospice. The chart said I was in room 12. I checked the admission date. Today. I closed the door. I walked back down the corridor. The lights flickered. The temperature log on my phone showed a drop. Outside room 12. I looked at the end of the corridor. The attendant was there. Dark, tall, still. But this time, it was facing me. I'm writing this in the break room. The sun will be up soon. My shift ends at 7 a.m. I don't know if I'll come back tonight. The patients need me. Mrs. Chen is gone. But room 4 has a new patient. Room 9 has a patient who's been here for weeks. Room 12 has me. I checked the temperature log again. The drop outside room 12 lasted 30 minutes, then returned to normal. That was at 3 a.m. At 3 a.m., I was in the break room. I was not in room 12. I was not dying. I was drinking coffee and staring at the wall. But the log says the temperature dropped outside my room. The room with my name on the door. The room with my chart on the bed. The room where I will die in 6 months. I don't know if the attendant comes to take or to accompany. I don't know if it's a threat or a comfort. I don't know if the peace on my patients' faces is peace, or if it's just the absence of fear. But last night, after the temperature returned to normal, I walked past room 12. The door was open. The bed was empty. The chart was gone. My name was still on the door, and below it, a new date. 6 months from today, and below that, a word, written in the same handwriting, in ink that was still wet. Soon. I went back to the corridor. The attendant was gone. The lights were on. The temperature was normal, but the candles in the memorial nook, the ones at the end of the corridor, were all lit. All of them. Burning steadily. No wind. No one near them. I've never seen them lit before. They're always blown out. The staff blows them out at the end of each shift. I blew them out myself at 11 p.m. But at 4 a.m., they were lit. All of them. And the flame on each one was pointing toward room 12. I don't know if I'm going to die in 6 months. I don't know if the chart was real. I don't know if the attendant is real. I don't know if any of this is real. But I know what I saw. I know what I heard. I know what I felt when I stood outside room 12 and the temperature dropped and the candles flickered and the attendant turned its headless face toward me. I felt peace. Not fear, not dread, not panic. Peace. The same peace I see on my patients' faces when they take their last breath. The same peace I've been trying to understand for 4 years. The attendant doesn't take. It doesn't accompany. It welcomes. It stands at the end of the corridor and waits for you to be ready. And when you are, it steps aside, and you walk into the light, or the dark, or whatever comes next. I don't know which. I don't know if it matters, but I know that when my name was called, when the temperature dropped outside room 12, and the candles lit themselves, and the attendant turned toward me, I was ready. And I'm still here. I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse, but I'm going to finish my shift. I'm going to sit with the patients. I'm going to hold their hands. I'm going to watch them find the peace I found last night. And when my time comes, in 6 months, or 6 years, or 60 years, I hope the attendant is still there, standing at the end of the corridor, facing my door, waiting